Søren Kierkegaard was a 19th century Danish philosopher and theologian, and the Night of Faith was one of his most important concepts, which he critiques in his works Fear and Trembling and Repetition. The Night of Faith is, in simple terms, an individual that has placed their complete faith in themselves and in God, and can act independent from the world. In Fear and Trembling, Kierkegaard argues that the Night of Faith is absolute individual, without connections or pretensions, able to gracefully embrace life. He explained, "When around one everything has become silent, solemn as a clear, starlit night, when the soul comes to be alone in the whole world, then before one there appears not an extraordinary human being but the eternal power itself. Then the heavens open, and then it chooses itself, or more correctly, receives itself. Then the personality receives the accolade of knighthood that ennobles it for an eternity. And the Night of Faith is the only happy man, the heir to the finite, while the Night of Resignation is a stranger and an alien." The difference between the Night of Faith and the Night of Resignation can be understood after understanding the three spheres of individual existence: the aesthetic or personal self, the ethical or civic self, and the religious self. Each of these spheres of existence envelops those below it. For example, an ethical person can enjoy life aesthetically but not religiously, while a religious person can enjoy life both ethically and aesthetically. Kierkegaard distinguishes the Night of Faith from the Night of Infinite Resignation in The Slaves of the Aesthetic Realm through use of a story. A man is in love with a princess, but circumstances are that the man will never be able to realize this love in this world. An aesthetic man would abandon this love, while the ethical man would retain it, although would be resigned to the fact that they would never be together in this world. The Night of Infinite Resignation may or may not believe that they may be together in another life, or in spirit, but gives up on their being together in this world, in this life. The Night of Faith feels what the Night of Infinite Resignation feels, but with the exception that the Night of Faith believes that in this world, this life, they will be together. The Night of Faith would say, "I believe nevertheless, that I shall get her, in virtue, that is, of the absurd, in virtue of the fact that with God all things are possible." This double movement is paradoxical because on the one hand it is humanly impossible that they will be together, but on the other hand the Night of Faith is willing to believe that they will be together through divine possibility. While the Night of Faith grabs hold of the impossible and clings to it, believing that it will be fulfilled, a Night of Infinite Resignation realizes that the goal is impossible and resigns to it. Using the aforementioned example of the man who is in love with a princess, Kierkegaard describes how the movements of the two nights are executed. For the Night of Infinite Resignation, having acknowledged the impossibility of love between the man and the princess, the love is infinitely renounced in the following manner. In the first place, the Night of Infinite Resignation will have the power to concentrate the whole substance of his life and the meaning of actuality into one single desire. In the next place, the Night will have the power to concentrate the conclusion of all his thinking into one act of consciousness. The Night then makes the movement. The Night will recollect everything, but his recollection is precisely the pain, and yet in infinite resignation he is reconciled with existence. His love for that princess would become for him the expression of an eternal love, would assume a religious character, would be transfigured into a love of the eternal being, which true enough denied the fulfillment but nevertheless did reconcile him once more in the eternal consciousness of its validity, in an eternal form that no actuality can take away from him. In infinite resignation there is peace and rest. The Night of Faith does exactly the same as the other night, but he makes one more movement, for he says, "Nevertheless I have faith that I will get her. That is, by virtue of the absurd, by virtue of the fact that for God all things are possible." The Night of Faith can, by virtue of the absurd, get what he desires totally and completely. However, Kierkegaard comments, that is over and beyond human powers. That is a marvel. Kierkegaard's Night of Faith and Nietzsche's Übermensch, or Overman, are very similar concepts. The Night of Faith, however, was in deference to a reality beyond himself, while the Übermensch, on the other hand, were entirely sufficient unto himself, not only not needing God, but not needing a world at all.